All I ask is for some change for him, bet some change for him. If not, I'ma pave a way for him, clear that lane for him. I'ma map and guide that way for him, keep that wave moving. This that glow, this that green light coming in the eyes of a whole screen. All the lock vibes in his soul. Dear demon, this is who I is. With a crew like this, dear devils can't cruise like this. Catch me running with some hooligans, then the news made us look like this. So homie, take a look right quick. It's the call out from the northern side. Chase that gold, what's the cost for your soul if it's always below your price? Hope y'all think twice. We running up, we moving ahead, we running up. Can't fall down again, we running up. United we stand, we running up. Hey, we running up, we moving ahead, we running up. Can't fall down again, we running up. United we stand, we running up. Lift that cage for him, I'ma rage for him. Your madness need a rider, I'm a Johnny Blaze for it. This a hailstorm, wait for it, make some way for it. They probably gonna pay for it, every way for him, every state tour. If you don't got drive, then you sitting in shoddy, so get in line after me. No rolly, so I see that it's time to put in work like athletes. Running in, no backing me. Terry Fox on track complete. One piece from west to east. We got 13 parts for free. So on the wheel, you better learn how to flex the elbow grease. We running up, we moving ahead, we running up. Can't fall down again, we running up. United we stand, we running up. Hey, we running up, we moving ahead, we running up. Can't fall down again, we running up. United we stand, we running up. Out the way, I'm sorry, but I want some better days for my territories. Turtle Island isn't safe with the sharks that stormed in. If my job could ever break, I would still get back up and just.
Good evening, everybody. You are on the Dr. Vibe Show. And
she's not Dr. Vibe, by the way. She's not Dr. Vibe, okay? I haven't had any no, I haven't had any operations or anything. I'm still here, and I didn't inherit any hair. So that's
you got a lot of hair.
Well, TMI, all right? TMI, okay?
No, I'm giving you some.
Well, you know, I've always wanted to do a commercial where I know it's Clairol, where the model has their hair and they go up and their hair fall back.
Yes.
I'd love to have one of those times where it's my face that people see and just shockadelia. So we're having too much fun here. So I know we got to get serious.
We got to get serious. Today
all right.
Wednesday.
So yes, it is Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and the host of Epic Conversations 2020. Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I host the only online program in the world for fathers and dads that's sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And through my efforts this year, I've been able to reach out to over 75,000 fathers worldwide. And one other thing I do is I am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative, which is a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing great stuff in food, wine, and travel. But all that stuff really isn't what we're talking about tonight. We're doing Win with Wednesdays. We've been doing that for the last few Wednesdays. And if you haven't been around, well, it's about time you jumped in, because Win with Wednesdays gives you exclusive access to some of Canada's most successful Black entrepreneurs, big and small, no shade. And I am joined by my co-host, Ms. Yardley Kavanaugh, who is
Yes.
not Dr. Vibe.
She's not Dr. Vibe. No, she's me, Yardley Kavanaugh, here with you. And it's been a pleasure for the past few weeks. I think we're at our fifth show, I think, Dr. Vibe. And it's been a pleasure to actually encounter and meet all these great Black youth entrepreneurs that are doing stuff that people don't know about. I mean, I'm in Montreal. I had no idea about what was going on with Natasha and in Calgary. And we had this great guy was it 2 weeks ago? It's nonstop. I mean, we're discovering, and today we're going to discover even more, Dr. Vi.
Absolutely. And today it's a focused conversation, not to say the rest of them aren't, but we're going to be focusing on a specific organization tonight, the Rising Youth Initiative. And we have Christine Muya, but we also have, we're going to have someone from the program, a successful part of the program a little bit later. But let's give some background on Christine. First, she came to Canada as a teenager, so she understands the first-hand experience of being a first-generation Canadian and navigating a new country as a young person. She has worked and volunteered with the public sector and several nonprofits, and is passionate about supporting youth to take up leadership and make positive changes they would like to see in their own communities. Previously, she worked on taking it globals and Rwanda Hayuguka Dukore. I hope I got it pronounced right. If I didn't, it's my head, not my heart. And is excited to rejoin Taking It Global's Rising Youth project as a partnership lead and data administrator. Wow, that's a lot of heavy lifting, I feel right there, to contribute to work that has a tangible impact on young people. Recently, Christina was part of the 2019 OCIC Youth Policymakers Hub. She loves traveling, a good adventure, watching sitcoms and comedies, and solving complex and simple questions, including playing online games. So you can tell that she's very diverse. She's very diverse. She likes the simple things, she likes the complex things, and she likes to travel. So let's welcome her to the stage. Christina, how are you? Oh, you're on.
I'm doing well, Dr. Vibe. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's such a humid day today. It's really hot out there, but I'm still loving the summer.
Well, you're going to bring some heat tonight too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Well, let's start off the conversation. My co-host will start off the journey tonight. So, Yardley, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Vibe. Welcome, Christina. And of course, the first question I have for you is, what is Rising Youth or Jeunes en Action?
So Rising Youth is a program that's funded by the federal government and the Canada Service Corps. And our goal is to put money in the hands of youth so they can make a difference in their community. Sometimes young people have, different conferences or events that they go to, and they have so many ideas. But then the question is always, what's next? What am I going to do after this? How can I take action? And so really Rising Youth was born out of that need for young people to, access grants and be able to make a difference in their community in a way that they envision, right? So that's what it is in a nutshell.
Okay. I want to follow up. Tonight is, like, we're calling it the Youth Takeover tonight. Where did you get your passion to empower and help youth from?
Yeah, so for myself, I would say is being a young person, navigating, being in Canada, being a Black Canadian, and having different experiences, facing different systemic and institutional barriers as a young person, and wanting to also impact young people within Canada and outside as well. I was born in Kenya, and so that's a place that I also want to impact as well. And I know, like, for example, in Kenya, a lot of young people don't have the opportunities that we have here because of different reasons. Part of them political, part of them social, and so, like, I wanted to kind of be that person that supports young people in my home country, but also in Canada, which is my home today as well. So I have two homes, and I'm trying to make a difference in both places.
And as a Kenyan, what have you brought? Maybe some energy, some stuff into this program and the way you approach people?
Yeah, so I could say my experience as a Kenyan, as a newcomer in Canada, as well as being a Black Canadian, having gone to high school here as well as university, and having seen, having faced different challenges as a Black person, I have brought that into my work, and I bring that into everything that I do as well, because it's really important to always bring yourself in everything that you do. Just because there's no one like you in the world, like we're all unique in our own ways, and every time you bring yourself into your work, you change it for the better. And that's what I try to do as well at Rising Youth. And part of my goal is to really encourage young Black Black youth to be able to apply to the grants, as well as support newcomer youth as well, who sometimes face language barriers and might not feel confident in being able to access these grants. Yeah, so like that's part of what I bring into the program, but also part of what I try to also bring into everything I do as well.
I had
How
a
did you?
follow up, but I'm going to
Go ahead.
let
No,
Dr.
no,
Vibe.
Yardley, go ahead. Continue down the
Okay.
road, please.
Okay. It's okay. So if I'm a youth and I have some idea, how does it come to fruition from ideation to getting the grant? What's the process that I have to go through?
Yeah, so that we have a very simple process. A lot of grants out there, for most of you who have businesses or even nonprofits, when you've applied for grants, it can be very complicated. It can take a lot of time, energy, and having to draw up budgets, do applications. It takes up a lot of time for one person, or if you're several people in the organization. And so at Rising Youth, what we've done different is we've made it really accessible. So we do have a grant application that the youth can apply to on our site. You can visit dreamlegacy.risingyouth.ca to see it. And the idea is it takes half an hour to fill out the application. And so my role is to work with partners, in Ontario as well as the territories, and kind of support them through workshops. So for instance, we have ideation workshops where, I kind of work with young people who have different ideas, and I kind of thinking like, is my idea ready to, can I apply with this idea that I have today? And I kind of work with them to get the ideas ready to actually apply that same day, if possible. And then we also have the grant writing workshop, which involves a walkthrough of the grant application, which, as I mentioned, is very simple and accessible and can be filled out in half an hour, as well as the budget template that we have on our site as well. And so youth are really able to apply, in less than an hour if they wanted to. And so like our goal is to really try and make it accessible, and it's a very simple process. So once they apply, they have 3 months to complete their project and then report back to us.
Well, that, you know what? If someone can fill out a grant in half an hour, I know some big organizations need you on board, because I have many people say they have challenges filling out a grant. So how did you make the process so easy? Was it already set up before you came on board, or have you done some massaging of the process to make it easy for young people to apply?
Yeah. I mean, I've only been in the program for over a year, but the program has been around for 4 years. And that's part of the work that the leadership has brought into the organization. I think it's we are a learning organization. We always take into account the feedback that we receive from our partners, as well as staff and the team as well. And taking that feedback and incorporating that into our program every single year has really shown how we've been able to try and ensure that it's accessible to diverse youth and partners as well. And Melissa, she's the Rising Youth Program Manager, and she's been for the last 4 years. She's done an incredible job, making sure that is a really important part of the program. Just taking that feedback, building that into the program, and being able to always make things more simplified, more simple to understand, but also more accessible to different kinds of people.
Go ahead, Yardley.
Okay. So what is the timeline if I want to apply? Since you said you're going to help me, I mean, not me, but a youngster, what is the timeline that I have for all of this process to go through and be fulfilled?
Yeah. So we're really quick in terms of approving applications. It takes our team between 8 to 10 days to approve applications.
Wow.
So we have a really strong team. Yeah, so I encourage young people to apply, because you'll hear back from us within less than 2 weeks. And so you can start your project right away. But then in terms of the application, sorry, did you have a question?
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead. How long do they have?
Okay.
Like what?
Yeah.
Now to when?
Oh yeah, so sorry, the grants open on April 19th and they're gonna close on December 31st at the end of the year. But specifically in Ontario, because we do have a lot of applications, we have a higher population than most provinces and territories. We see a lot of applications coming in, and so specifically in Ontario, we might actually reduce the funds after November 1st. But that's not 100%, certain yet. But for the other provinces and territories, it's going to be open until December 31st. And so if you're a young person on this call, I would encourage you to try and apply. If you're in Ontario, try and apply in October. But if you're in any other part of the country, you can apply anytime before December ends.
What drew you to be part of this organization? Because obviously you had done work in other capacities, other areas. What was it that brought you to this initiative? What was it? What was the drive? What was the yes?
Yeah, for me, it's again back to what I said earlier, like being a young person and navigating Canada as a young Black person. Just I wanted to also have an opportunity to make that difference in the lives of other young Black Canadians.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of people helped lift me up, when through different opportunities I've had in the past. And so like something that I want to give back as well, being able to lift other people up who, may not have had that chance as well. And so, it's all about giving back as much as we're getting, right? So that's something that's always inspired me to do that. Especially with young people, I do feel like they have a lot of potential, but sometimes it goes untapped. And for different reasons. Sometimes it's because, for instance, as Black youth, they face different barriers within institutions and in schools, in workplaces. So, but by the time a youth is older, they could just feel crushed by the world, because of facing different challenges. And if they don't come from having a strong family support, for instance, or strong community around them, then everything could be really difficult for them. And so, I just want to show like other Black youth that, this opportunity is for everyone. And so the government has given us this funds, which is your tax money, by the way. So you should actually tap into it because it's your money that you're paying as taxes. And you can use that to make a difference in any way you see how. Like we fund all sorts of projects. We fund projects, for example, that have to do with the environment, within advocacy, for instance, also art projects as well. And so any idea that you have as a young person, you can make it come to life with Rising Youth, because we don't discriminate when it comes to the type of projects that you can do.
Wonderful. Yardley?
Thank you, Dr. Vibe. How have you been able to reach, especially our Black kids, our Black youth? I know it's for BIPOC and Latinx and queer and LGBTQ, but our Black youth, how have you been able to reach them?
Yeah, so we work through partners, and so how I've been able to do it is finding out where are the partners who are working with Black youth in different communities. So, for example, in Ontario, we work with the CEE, Center for Young Black Professionals, because they already are reaching Black youth through their different programs. We also work with Dream Legacy, for instance, who also has a strong Black youth reach. And in the West, we work with Golden Unity also as well. They're also, working with high school youth who identify as Black, kind of supporting them to be able to, pursue post-secondary education. So like the idea is that we try and work with partners because the youth already have that trust with their partner. And so when we come in, we are just hoping that through our work with the partners, they're going to reach the youth, right? Because if I come in as someone who's new into a space, the youth might not necessarily trust me right away, but they already trust the partner because they've been working with them for a long time. And so that's been our model, is to work through, Black-led organizations across the country.
Great. So Yardley's been asking about this. So I just want you to take it step by step for our viewers and audience with the process. So I still think I'm young, but chronologically they say I'm not. So I found out about your program. I get the application. I fill it out.
Yeah.
And let's go into the understand that it's an approved application. So you tell me it's approved. What's the next step for that young person after that application is approved?
So once it's approved, they send a contract. It's a very simple contract, one page, that the grants admin team sends to them. And then we ask them how do they want to receive the funds, and so that could be like an e-transfer, for instance, if that's what they prefer, or a check that's mailed to them. And so they use the funds to do their project within that 3-month period. And if they need support, we're also here to support them. Like we have a very strong grants admin team that they can reach out to at any point if they have any questions, if they need an extension, for instance. But also with our partners who have a very strong understanding of Rising Youth, they're able to provide that mentorship aspect to the youth throughout their project, what they're implementing. And then once the 3 months are done and they complete their project, then they will just fill out a report to just kind of share the impact that they've had, in the community, and how that has also changed them in terms of their own growth as well.
Just a follow-up question for you. During that 3-month period, are they required to check in or submit any reports to you, or is it basically once they get the grant, they don't have to do any reporting till the end?
That's right. They don't have to do any reporting until the end. It only happens when they're done with the project. But our team does check in once in a while to see if everything is going well. But also because we work through our partners, they also do that as well quite often, especially with the youth that they know really well.
Okay. Yardley, any questions?
Could you tell us about maybe one of your alums that made it really big with their project and that you were like super proud? I'm sure you're proud of everybody, but that really had an impact in our community.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting question. There's so many alumni in the program. Yeah, like maybe I could say, for example, like Vanessa London, she was referred by one of our partners, like through George Brown College that we work with, and they the initiative is to support Black women in the community. So they would like to find ways to kind of like create a safe space for other Black women in Toronto and the GTA to be able to talk about different issues that they're facing and to be able to support one another in terms of growing professionally and also personally. And so that's an example of a project that I would say did not just end with Rising Youth, they kind of took it a step forward. And I think they also have a website as well. So we've seen a lot of initiatives that actually have grown beyond Rising Youth, and that's really what we love to see. And we also support our alumni as well. So once they finish their project, we don't just say, that's great, you've done the project, just go your own way. We actually have an alumni network that's very engaging as well. And so we try to invite youth to different opportunities that we have at Rising Youth, and have them speak to the experiences of their project. So for instance, last year we had the perspectives from coast to coast, where we featured one of our partners who's from George Brown, who identifies as a Black queer woman, and also a few panelists who are also Black alumni or Black youth who had applied for grants previously. And they all talked about the experiences, and also, Black Lives Matter, the protest that happened last year, that was also part of the conversation as well, and how their projects were part of that conversation. And so I would say like a lot of, youth who have applied who identify as Black, most of them have done work within the community, but of course it's not every single person, but we do see a lot of them change their communities in different ways.
Well, that's fantastic. We're going to go into break, and we heard about some success stories. We're going to meet a success story of this program after we take a break. So we'll just be taking a break for a few moments. Do stay watching the conversation because we've been showing some great information stuff. So we'll catch you back in a few moments with a success story of this program.
I shifted over to real estate, and then the rest is history. For me, as a 21-year-old, I'm like, okay, where could I get into the market? When we started Yorkdale, I was 29 years old, and it was a big moment in my life. We were changing the mindset of who could be on the jersey. Then we did the partnership with Ryerson to launch the Digital Media Lab. And then the tech sector is growing. Investors are trying to see what is the best place to invest in, what is the best product to invest in. These are all indicators that will continue to drive the need for housing.
Hey, we are back.
Yes,
Win,
we are.
win with us Wednesdays. We are back, Dr. Vibe and Yardley, and we're speaking with Christina Mouye, and she's going to join us back. But we're also going to be joined by one of the success stories of the program. So hopefully we'll have Eric come and join us right now if he's available.
Eric Isufu.
Eric is available.
All right, he's available audio only, but we can hear him loud and clear. How are you doing, Eric?
I'm good. I still look like the picture, so that's up to date.
Okay, fantastic. Well, tell us, Eric, how did you find out about this program?
I actually found out word of mouth. So one of my friends was actually a Rising Youth alumni as well. Her project was a series of pictures that put faces that we don't usually see in the media forward. So it was a bunch of different youth from different backgrounds, and it culminated with an event that brought all those people together. People spoke about different things going on in today's culture. So they talked about racial injustice, racial inequality, all types of things, and it was actually interesting. I saw that, and I said, "Well, I can do something too." So I got together with one of my friends who's a chef, and we started the "COVID is a Jerk" campaign.
Oh, Yardley, continue.
Yes. Well, Eric, thank you, and we welcome you. How has it changed your life being in this program?
How has it changed my life? And it taught me a lot of lessons. So the campaign itself was basically a food drive. Well, not really a food drive per se, but we delivered home cooked meals to people who wanted them, not necessarily needed them, because it's not like we fed the poor, but we fed the souls and the spirits of our community. So it taught me a lot of lessons in terms of just organizing a business, because we had to handle it as a business because people expected some sort of quality from the final product. So there was a lot of adjustments, there was a lot of learning to do. So if you actually want to be, if you want to gain some useful skills while doing something for the community, this is literally the perfect way to go.
Good. I just want to add on to what Yardley asked you in regards to how is it giving you improved personal development? Because obviously there must have been some skills that you have gained now or amplified that you didn't have before this program.
I mean, since it was very personal, right? So you're giving somebody food. On top of that, it's free. So just that personal exchange of you giving them food and they're giving you feedback, they're just showing you love and energy and appreciation. That kind of changed my life, because it was during a period where we had to quarantine, we had the curfew. So on social terms, we were pretty much all of us were at a low, right? So that brought me back to a certain high, got me talking with people again. So just getting that sense of community, seeing all those beautiful Black people, it was priceless.
Yardley?
Eric, I wanted to find out, what kind of food did you serve? I'm curious. I love
COVID is a jerk. It's in the name. It was
COVID is a drink. Okay.
Okay. How did you come up with that name?
Because the chef's Jamaican, right? So we already knew we were gonna make jerk chicken, and we were trying to come up with a name. I think I'm funny, so we made that name up, and we ran with it. It actually worked. When I put it on my CV, some people cringe at it, so I have to explain. No, I'm not a COVID denier. COVID is a jerk chicken. It's a whole thing now.
Well, I love the name because it gets people's attention, right? Because
exactly.
There's going to be a reaction, and most of the time they're going to ask. They're going to be curious. So you already have them reeled in, and you already have your icebreaker without even saying a word.
There you go. See, that's one of the lessons we learned. All advertising is good advertising.
There you go. Yardley?
Exactly. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself? Probably in Africa. See, I'm kind of like our sister Christina here. I'm not really from Canada, so I'm trying to go back to my roots and do my part there.
for you, Dr. Vibe?
Africa. What do you feel you could add value with back home? Where do you vision? You want to go back home? Where do you vision yourself 5 years back in Africa? What do you vision yourself doing?
I would start with cleaning up the place. Yeah, I'm from Niamey, Niger. It's Western Africa, just below the Sahel Desert. So right now, from what I've seen, it's a place that needs a lot of change. But I don't want to be like the Western savior per se. But I know that from our vision of things, the youth that left Africa has a lot to know to give back. So I know that I can do my part and I can make a change simply by cleaning the place up, because there's a lot of plastic there that could be used and recycled, reused, and made into building material, for example. There's a lot of possibilities. So I'm working on that right now.
And have you thought about expanding? Like right now, you're in the GTA, I guess, Greater
No,
Toronto area.
I'm from the South Shore, just like you.
Are you kidding me? That's a surprise for me. That's great. So,
We
my
did
God,
that.
you're in my neighborhood.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna have to come and see exactly what you do.
Yeah,
the question is still good.
is ended. We need Christina to give us more funding.
Exactly. I was gonna say, Christina, you heard it. You heard it live. You heard it live. but Eric, so the question is still good. So since you're on the South Shore, for people who are watching on South Shore of Montreal, so he's part of the Greater Montreal area. Is it possible to expand if you get the funding to the Greater Toronto area?
For sure. That's not a problem. The reason why we went with the jerk chicken play here is because there's not as much supply in terms of Caribbean food here as there is in the GTA. See, that's kind of more of a saturated market in the GTA. So we kind of went for the more unique approach here. So that's why we did the jerk chicken. But yeah, definitely. We had a few projects following that campaign. So we did prepackaged meals, we did friend dinners. So in terms of like continuation, there's a lot of possibilities. The only thing that's really necessarily is effort and willingness, right? Anything is possible.
And funds.
Exactly. Funds. There you go.
Putting pressure on dear little Christina. My goodness. Give her a break. She's got so many people to serve.
You thought I was here to help her. I'm here to help myself.
Okay. All right. We got it. So let me ask.
Yep.
What would you tell other people, especially Black young people? Why should they get involved in this program?
It's easier than they think. It's literally easier than they think. Christina already did a great job, I think, explaining the whole process. But I want to emphasize on how actually easy it is. So once you put in your application, just like she said, they respond pretty much automatically. Once you get the money, I mean, you have the money, so it's all up to you. But I believe, like I honestly do believe out of the deepest part of my heart, that as a people, we are gifted. So the only thing that's standing in our way really is ourselves. So literally, once they give you the money, you can do what you want, just as long as you're willing to work for it.
I want to go a little bit deeper. Sorry, Arlie, on this. It sounds like you've had an advance in your mindset after being through this program. Am I correct saying that?
I don't know. I grew up in Poland, so that mindset was there from early on.
Okay, am I saying it reinforced it and made it stronger?
It showed me that actually that's exactly what I'm saying. It showed me that it's easier than you think. Okay. So actually making a positive change on your community literally starts with an idea. Like a lot of us have ideas that we just don't see through because we think it's hard or like nobody's there to help us. But with such things as this grant, you can actually get help. People can guide you through like your ideas, and when you actually see it come to fruition, you're like, wow, I'm I'm worth something. So it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I just want to piggyback on what you're saying there, that just a lot of us, all we have is one of these in a dream, and look what you've done with it.
Exactly.
So
Yardley?
what's next? Thank you, Dr. Vibe. So what's next for Eric and Associates?
Herrick and Associates. Well, honestly, I'm working towards the dream. So the dream is to actually be able to move back to Africa and make a positive change. So right now, I'm working on a project. I don't wanna go too much into it, not to like take away from what we're doing right now. But yeah, I'm gathering up a team, and we're definitely gonna make a difference.
Okay. Well, Eric, we want to thank you for taking time out of your positive productive schedule to share with us today. Any
Sure.
final words? And also, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
You can get in contact with me on LinkedIn just by my name, Eric Yusufu. You can see me on Instagram if you want to be a part of the events, because I'm pretty sure we're going to bring this campaign back. From what I'm seeing, the government is planning on another shutdown. So yeah, we'll definitely bring it back if that's the case. So you can follow me on Instagram at Lion King Eric, ERYK.
All right.
Thank you, Eric, so
Eric,
much.
thank you so much.
No
Stay
problem.
safe. And thank you again for making this a better program. It's appreciated.
Oh, thank all of you for doing this. We definitely appreciate it, and I want to say thank you for all the audience, and stay beautiful.
All right. Keep the
Thank
faith,
you.
my brother. Take care.
Thank you, Eric.
Excellent. So, Christina, wonderful. Look at that. But he's still bugging you for money. Hi. But speaking about money, and I hope our producer has it. We do have a graphic about monies and etc. So hopefully our producer can bring up that graphic and just give a little bit of a visual in regards to the money part of it. So I'm hoping our producer can. Yes, there we go.
There we go.
Perfect. Yeah.
So if you could just go through that with our audience, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of the grants that we offer, they're micro grants. So a youth could apply for $250, or they could apply for $750 or $1,500. And we've seen, like, for example, with the 250, young people do like different like events, virtual events, for instance, on Zoom, where they have like free giveaways for attendees and maybe like have a meal for whoever's attending as well. With 750, we've seen a lot of care packages, especially during the pandemic, food care packages, or even buying PPE equipment for different community members. And with 1,500, which is the largest grant we have at the moment, youth are able to do more, and that's usually you're required to actually have a team with you as well. So I would say ideally a team of have 2 or 3 other youth that the youth is working with as well for the 1,500. But for both 250 and 750, a youth can apply individually. And so for the 750 and 1,500, a youth is also required to have a community reference. And so what that means is someone that you trust in the community. It could be someone from an organization. It could be a teacher. It could be someone like yourself, Dr. Vibe, or even Eldon, for instance. Someone that you trust who will mentor them on their project. So that's something that we also ask for, on the application. And so that's in a snapshot. And as you can see at the bottom here, we have this image here, which is like the blueprint, or like kind of like what Rising Youth is all about. So we're hoping in the design stage that we support you to apply. And then once they apply and get funding, then they can launch their project and they share their impact with, their community and other youth across Canada.
Wonderful. There we go,
Excellent.
Bryce. You got a little beautiful. Yardley, go ahead.
Well, you said that you are across Canada, right? And
That's right.
I see that you have a chapter in French. Where are they located? Are these all in Toronto still for the people who speak French and would be interested, the youth?
Yeah, so we have team members based all across Canada. And so we have a team member in Quebec, who's in Montreal. And he serves all the Francophone partners across the country, as well as partners in the West. And so we have team members who are located in different parts of the country, and they serve different partners. So in my role, I serve partners in Ontario and the territories, and we have another team member who serves partners in the Atlantic and the prairies, and the third team member serves Francophone partners as well as partners in the West. And of course, the one who serves Francophone partners is, right, they're bilingual, right? So they speak both languages.
That's great.
Let me ask, what percentage of your young people that get grants look like us?
Yeah, that's a good question. um, so actually last year, I just checked our system. Last year we had 164 youth apply for the grant. And we gave away about 1,950 grants in total across the country. So I would say about 8% of the youth who applied are identified as Black. And that's not a big number, as you probably already know. And so that's something that we, actively in Marol, I work to do as well. Like I try to reach those partners that work with those youth, Black youth in different communities, so that we can actually reach, you know, Black youth in their different states and places as well, because as you probably already know, a lot of Black youth face different barriers. And so the easiest way for us to do that is through our partners. And so like diversifying our partner palette also enabled us to really be able to reach more youth who are Black and who are also diverse as well. Yeah. But I noticed that this year actually we had more applicants who identify as Black. So I think the word is getting out, and we are seeing that change. So.
And I think maybe with this show, even it's going to be a way for the youth to connect.
Yeah,
and,
I hope so.
More and more people.
Yeah, because I know you guys have a very wide reach, so I do hope like there's some Black youth on the call who are thinking of applying right away, or even coming to a workshop that we're doing with Dream Legacy, for instance, in a few weeks.
Wonderful, wonderful. What is the most challenging thing that you have to do with your job?
Wow, it's an interesting question. Wow, the most challenging thing I have to do.
Or are there any challenges? Maybe put it that way.
There are always challenges. I would say,
you can pick one.
I would say there are two key challenges. I would say first is to get the buy-in from a partner. So, because sometimes we want to work with different partners across the country, but sometimes, we're giving them free money, but sometimes they don't want to partner with us for different reasons. And so like having that initial conversation with a partner and really getting them to see where your values align can take time. And, sometimes the partners don't come on board, in a day or a week. Like sometimes it takes like 6 months or even longer for them to say like, we're interested in working with you. And, we see that this is a good program. And so even though obviously we do give money and everybody wants money, or most people want money.
Free money especially.
It would be an easy thing to do, but it does take time to actually get the partners really interested in collaborating with us and really being able to support and mentor the youth with this grant program. And then I would say another challenge is also sometimes with the Black youth that we serve or reach through our partners, even though sometimes they do see the opportunity in front of them, they don't always apply right away, or it still takes time to really convince them that this is something for them. And so that's something that I've seen quite a lot. And so, going the extra step and having like either reaching out to them one-on-one and providing them with that support, or having one of our team members do that as well, has been really helpful, because even if sometimes they see the opportunity, they don't always feel confident to go ahead and apply for it. But I want to tell you, like, this grant is for everyone and for anyone. And so don't feel shy to access this money, because as I mentioned before, it's on your tax funds. This is what you're paying for in taxes. So, reach out and, take the funds and do something great with them.
Why do you think it's so difficult in our community for them to believe in this program?
I think sometimes when people hear like, it's a federal government, coming from the federal government, I think sometimes people feel intimidated, because they're assuming that there are probably a lot of work involved in applying for that, or a lot of restrictions, or, as I mentioned before, like, having gone through an experience where, someone is always facing systemic barriers or institutional barriers, or, racism through the system or in different situations, and not believing in oneself. Those are some of the barriers that we've seen in terms of like, youth not wanting to access the grants. But I would say it's just, first is also an intimidation, because they assume that when they hear federal government, it's probably a really, complex grant to apply for. But we try to make it accessible and really easy and simple to apply.
Thank you. Are you on, Dr. Vibe? Your mic is muted. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your precious time. I think you've given us so much of good information to go with. Any last comments do you have, Yardley?
No, that's fine. I want to thank you because you have been very generous, and I see how much you put into your work so that our youth and in our communities and other communities can continue on growing and dreaming and make it happen.
Yeah, and thank you both for this opportunity. I'm really excited to you know, share this information with a lot of your viewers who I believe are Black youth or have connections to Black youth. So if you tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your cousin, tell them to apply.
Exactly.
It's that kind of place. So
And the best way that people can get in contact with your organization?
yeah, so I can put my email in the chat. But if you would like to apply, just use the link that's appearing right here, dreamlegacy.ca. Go onto that link and apply. But we're also going to have a workshop with Dream Legacy on October 15th. And it's going to be a workshop, like I mentioned earlier, like an ideation and grant writing workshop, where you're kind of shown how to apply for this grant step by step. And I'm going to be there with an alumni and with Eldon from Dream Legacy. We're going to be able to support you to, put your application through. And so I would encourage you, if you want to get more information, please come to the October 15th workshop. It's going to be in the afternoon. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Take care of yourself, be well, and stay safe.
Thank you so much to both of you, and have a good night. Bye for now.
Shall do. Take care. And nice segue. She did mention Eldon. So Eldon, come on in and join us.
Come on down.
What's going on with young people during COVID-19? How are they dealing with the impacts?
We figured that during the pandemic, our community needed a bit of support, and that's why we're here.
What was initially a challenge created a really cool opportunity for collaboration.
Even in a time of social and physical distancing, there's so many possibilities for virtual events.
Us young people have resources at our fingertips. We have social media. We have a different way of mobilization that is actually changing the world.
It's a very important time to have these conversations.
De cette manière-là, on essaie de briser l'isolement social que la COVID-19 a pu engendrer récemment.
During this pandemic, we were looking at how we can help families and help communities that have been affected by COVID-19. And one of the ways we looked at it was helping out Indigenous communities.
To come up with a project that would be able to facilitate even more kids to have art projects and initiatives to work on over quarantine.
I realized that kids weren't going to have access to nutritional programs, breakfast programs that they already had. So I knew I had to do something.
We are hoping that the Safe Hubs project really helps women and really just anyone that is living in a situation of domestic violence or abuse.
The people who I'm giving these packages to, I want them to know that there's somebody out there who cares for them.
Basically a youth-run and youth-developed program to encourage creativity and storytelling through sciences and encourage ocean conservation literacy.
Nous menons une mission à but d'améliorer notre vaste communauté à travers le rire avec des capsules vidéo pour sensibiliser la communauté sur la réalité des jeunes francophones en Colombie-Britannique.
What sparked Can Youth Network was how can we essentially create more opportunities for other youth in Canada to have that same access to the decision makers and to information.
What I wanted to do was basically facilitate conversations about race and privilege in a way where people knew that it was going to be a safe space, that they were incentivized to come because of hopefully a delicious meal.
Alors la pandémie du racisme, c'est vraiment une exploration du racisme à Montréal, mais plus précisément de comment chaque personne noire vit leur propre blackness.
It's not just about here, it's about Turtle Island in general.
As Indigenous people, and take some time of self-reflection and think about the gifts that Creator has gifted you as an individual.
Let's say go for it, like you're not losing anything.
Hey, take this project and make it yours.
Thank you for your support and for believing in us.
Really appreciate all your support, and we hope to start another initiative soon.
even after they finished their project, submitted their final report. We wanted to continue to provide different systems of support for them so that they could continue to create positive impacts in their community.
J'espère que vous êtes tous dans le Alumni Hub. On a vraiment une communauté en ligne pour aider toutes les personnes qui ont fait des projets avec Jeunes en Action.
There is a culture of support and there is a culture of mutual aid and that resilience that really, really shines.
Quand tu es dans Jeunes en Action, tu es dans la famille forever. C'est comme, c'est bad boys for life, okay?
There's no better feeling than witnessing a program in which you have worked so hard at, in which you believe so much in, receiving recognition and appreciation by amazing partners such as Rising Youth.
So community is the most important in times like this. We want to encourage and inspire the youth of today to live in a world that they would be proud to be a part of.
I'm really hoping that this project will help set some of my brothers and sisters free, you know?
I'm just so grateful for this grant because it gives us the chance to come together as a family and to work on this.
Même là, même si on est encore debout, on met encore des bâtons dans les roues, fait qu'on n'a pas le choix d'être le vecteur de nos propres changements.
Going forward, the pandemic might stop, but we don't intend to. We want to make sure that people know that they have the right to speak up for what they need.
What would you do if you could change your little slice of the world right now?
Okay.
We're back.
Highlight video. So now we can bring Eldon in.
We psyched you out there, Dr. Vibe. We psyched you out.
Hey, didn't psych me out. You're here.
I am. Ta-da. Awesome. Man, that video really does sort of highlight how resilient our young people are. During COVID, it was just awesome to see that video, but then pair it with, Eric's story. The purpose of this after show really is to comment on all of the great things that are happening in the wonderful world of Black communities. But I don't know, what did you guys think? Like, I feel like that really, the program itself, I wish they had that when I was, 15, 16, 17, because I would have been starting, snow cone businesses and I would have been making all kinds of stuff for Caravana. But what did you think, Dr. Vibe? What would you do with $250 or $750 if you could have that back when you were 18 or 19?
It's interesting. The other day I was having a conversation with someone and I said, if I was back at that age, I would have started my own business instead of going to university.
There you go.
So you have some working capital to start out to create your vision and hit your goal, dream, and desire. So even $250, you can start something with $250, believe it or not, folks.
Absolutely. And now obviously in this program, it's not for businesses, it's for community-based projects, but you can test out concepts. And the whole thing that is very popular and I think very needed, specifically in Black communities right now, are social enterprises.
Yeah.
Businesses that have a social purpose. So maybe for the youth who are tuning in or for the uncles and aunties and people who have youth in their families, get them to start with a community-based volunteer project, explore that concept, and then it might grow into a business later on down the line once you found that need. So you're not wrong thinking about it from a social enterprise perspective. What about you, Yardley? What would you do with $1,000 at Yardley at 20?
At that age, I probably would have done a little business to match the elderly and the young folks. So that, like when you in Africa, there's the griots who are a living library and share the stuff and kind of break the loneliness, but at the same of the elders, and at the same time make sure that the youth still know where they come from. It's kind of an exchange. So I would have done that. $1,000 would have gotten me a lot of connections, I think, with my friends and all of that. And I think it would have been a success.
I believe it. I believe it. It's not too late. I mean, listen, you can always, scrub a couple of zeros off of the birth certificate and maybe Christina will hook you up. But no, I wanted to take this time because I know we're getting close on our timeline here to remind everybody about our lovely Baobab Principles. So Baobab Principles, and this is such an important part of our show. The Baobab Principle. What is the Baobab? First of all, it's a tree. It's a massive, majestic tree. And I don't know if our producers still have that photo. There it is, the Baobab tree. It is indigenous to the continent of Africa. It can be found in Madagascar. It can be found in Ghana. It can be found in Kenya. It can be found in many different places. And it's still looming large today, much like our Black families and our Black communities and our royalty. So Baobab Principles, let's get into it. We are on our 5th Baobab Principle right now. We did B, be honest. A, Afrocentric. O, overcome obstacles. B, build together and buy Black. And that's actually a good one. I'm going to come back to that later on. But we're on A today, action-oriented. Be action-oriented. And what I think with this group of young people we have coming up, this generation, they are tremendously action-oriented. They have no care in the world. They will start things, they will fail, they will start, they will fail. But more importantly, they will start doing things without getting the actual initiative to do that. So this whole segment today is about being action-oriented. And I want to encourage people who are tuning in, young, old, and everything in between, to be in alignment with what you think needs to be done today, not tomorrow. We sometimes like to procrastinate. Don't push it off to tomorrow. Do it today. And that's the A in the Baobab Principle, and we'd like to guide through that. So in that same token of being action-oriented, this is an exciting time for us as Black communities across Canada. Pour ma communauté noire, on a quelque chose de spécial qui s'arrive. The government of Canada has finally given back our ancestors' dollars to the tune of $700 million plus to Black communities. And that's historic. We are in the middle of a Black Renaissance. And as a result, there's a special event that I wanted to tell everybody about that's coming up on August 31st. Because that unprecedented amount of dollars being given back to our communities gives us a chance to build infrastructure through business, through social supports, but more importantly, it gives us some accountability. So I don't know if our producers have this special poster. You guys are getting the pre-release drop on this information, but I want to take the time to invite everybody who's tuned in, both on the recording and on the live, to be part of this pledge event taking place on August 31st. So if he has the photo, my man, Dr. Flo, if you can put it up, because I want everybody to know that this event is happening. It's a virtual event. And the purpose of the event is for us to circulate dollars within Black communities across Canada. How do we do this? What are the things? If you had $700 million, what would you do with $700 million? Think about that. If somebody were to write you a check right now and say, here you go, here's $700 million. What are the things you would build that would last 7 generations? That's the purpose of our conversation on the 30th of August, which is next Tuesday. The event goes live on our Dream Legacy Foundation Facebook page and Instagram page. And I want to encourage everybody to get your ticket. We're going to have a little in-person mixer for those who are in the Toronto GTA area, but the majority of the conversation will be online, and it starts at 6 p.m. Doors, virtual doors, open at 5:30. We're going to have a little bit of, networking, some mix and mingle online. So folks are going to have some fun on the Tuesday. And we're going to have a significant conversation about how can we circulate these dollars more than just 6 hours. Other communities, particularly Jewish communities, Italian communities, South Asian communities, they circulate their dollars 4, 5, 6, 7 times. But there's a study that says our dollars only circulate for 6 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it's gone. Well, with $700 million, that's going to change. So I hope everybody tunes into this event on the 31st of August. Save the date. If you didn't get it in your inbox, it's coming to you. Don't you worry. We're going to make sure everybody's going to be a part of it. But if you could, Dr. Flo, put up the post so everyone can see the information. They can take it down on a little bit of a notepad, because we really want people to have access to this conversation, because there are Black communities all across Canada, and everybody's dollar actually counts in this $700 million. What would you do with that money if you could invest? Would you build a museum? I see Sylvia Paris on the line. I'm sure we building maybe 6 more Delmer Buddy Day centers. Would you build a school specifically for Afrocentric content? Would you build houses? Would you invest in a media platform like BIA Media? There's so many things that we can do, but we want to make sure that everybody who is tuned in today gets a chance to think about that a couple days in advance. We're giving you a couple days notice. It's Wednesday, so you're getting 6 days ahead of time to brainstorm your ideas. And we will have some prizes for those who come with the most creative idea. We will have some prizes. So Dr. Vibe, I know you were thinking about some cool things that can come out of this. Yardley, I didn't tell you about this just yet, so I'm sure you're going to come with some ideas. But I really wanted to encourage folks to be part of this conversation, and we'll drop the information in the chat. If you can't find it in the chat, follow us on Instagram at the Dream Legacy Foundation FDN, and you guys are going to get a chance to see what this really means. The Baobab principles are now going national. The principles of circulating Black dollars starts with each individual today. And right there, this is the Eventbrite link right here. You can go and grab your ticket. There's only about 50 available for the in-person conversation hosted at none other than the Dream Suites at YYZ, 6171 Conan. But the majority of folks all across Canada will be tuning in live virtually, so you can secure your ticket. Yardley, are you coming?
I'm going to be there.
Okay. I know you wanted to come to the hotel and we couldn't line it up, but I know you're going to plug in.
No, I'm going to be in Toronto. I'm not going to miss this for the world.
All right.
So we'll all be together as a big family.
It's about dang time. You've been hiding out in Montreal this whole time. You got me and Dr. Vibe holding down the Toronto fort.
I think we lost Dr. Vibe, actually.
Dr. Vibe said, listen, I'm going to get my ticket. I can't waste any more time. He just bounced.
I
love it.
No, I'm going to be there for sure with somebody who's also in business. And she's really interested. She was actually asking me last night, is this event still happening? Are we going to go in person? Is it, so you see, I'm getting people,
people fired up
interested, fired up. That's it.
Baobab pledge. So we're not going to
And also they're going to meet us. They're going to meet us also.
Connect at the same time. So I was given one job, and see, I ran over time on this because I was so excited about the Baobab principles. We have one more video to show, and this video is part of the Rising Youth Initiative. It is actually a tremendously talented group, an artist that created this video using the grant. Puis la vidéo c'est en français, c'est incroyable. Je veux partager ça avec vous. Honnêtement, c'est une vidéo que moi j'ai entendu ce matin, and I said we have to put this on the show. So, Dr. Flo, Luke, if you're still there with us, cue up that video and let's send it off. Peace, everybody.
Anyone and Dasha. Good family. C'est l'homme qui a tourné.
Il est si facile de jeter les ponts. Oublie ça si tu y sors.
C'est juste un mirage, bro.
Puis ton rêve.
Tu peux le faire.
Oh oui, tu peux le faire.
Yeah. Tu peux devenir celui que tu veux devenir. Tu peux parvenir à bâtir ton empire. Sky is the limit, ton berger à l'élite. Tout est possible, bats-toi pour ton mérite. Par le dos, par les cornes, à toi le succès. Yes, yo, tu peux le faire. Et pour mon rêve, je ferai tout pour accéder au sommet. Rien ne va m'arrêter, moi je veux le trophée.
C'est ton histoire, il suffit d'y croire.
Il suffit d'y croire, man.
Oh oui, tu peux le faire. Bats-toi pour tes rêves.
You can do it.
Bâtir ton histoire.
Bâtir son histoire.
Il suffit d'y croire.
Vas-y, bats les ailes, bro.
Oh oui, tu peux le faire.
Yeah.
Bats-toi pour tes rêves.
Bring it.
Vis ton rêve.
Bouge ta tous les temps, car il est chaud qu'on va le faire.
Vis ton rêve.
Regarde-toi devant le miroir, man, tu peux le faire, right?
Vis ton rêve. Vis ton
rêve. C'est une once de talent, beaucoup de persévérance. Tu tomberas souvent, relève-toi et avance. De la défaite naît la victoire. Petit poisson sera grand, puis garde l'espoir. Puis la vie est belle, mais pour vivre faut mourir. Jusqu'au bout du tunnel, jusqu'au dernier soupir. L'avenir est prometteur, en battant d'aujourd'hui. Affronter peur, bats-toi jour et nuit. C'est quand il est chaud qu'on va le faire. Allons, bouge, il est temps, remue la terre. Tu peux le faire, devenir celui que tu veux devenir. Parvenir à à bâtir ton empire.
Vis ton rêve. Vis ton rêve. Bâtir ton histoire, il suffit d'y croire. Oh oui, tu peux le faire. Bats-toi pour tes rêves. Bâtir ton histoire.